19th century Pax Britannica.
Oh, and that's exactly what we all thought. Fuck, indeed, when we had a look at the state of that wicket in the third test match there at the Indoor Cricket Centre. I'm pretty sure what it is. What are the stories this week? Was it Nathan Lyon's 8 for? Was it India's first loss in a hot minute with a third over the course of 10 years? Was it Australia's win? Steve Smith's captaincy? I don't know. I feel like, though, it was a lot of pitch chat and also the bid lids 49 not out. We're talking about the WPL this week. Bangladesh, England ODI, South Africa West Indies Test. Ramachandra Guha is on the show. We're going to learn more about India and also Trent Copeland as he has announced his retirement from first-class cricket. Pez, we have been back from India for now just over a week, but the highlight of the trip might have been talking to Mark Waugh.
Yeah,
it might have been. And a rare moment with Junior.
For those who are following TGC on YouTube, and if you're not, there's at least one piece of content that we're proud of that goes up there, and that is our producer's been putting together a vlog.
God, that.
Yeah. At least one. No, we're proud of our content, but we've done a vlog of our time through India, and it's a 5-part series. We've just released the 4th, and we're looking forward to the 4th publishing, because that was when, firstly, we were lucky enough to go to the Taj Mahal, and we also then got into the cauldron of the Kotla in Delhi with the air quality and the general European away vibe. And lifting the hood, maybe we're doing that too often now, but in the days leading up to the Delhi test, we were asked very casually by a relationship that we have at Star Sports whether we would like to joined the lunch program on day one, and of course we said,
what time is it?
Yeah, said I just got to see what lunch is first, and who might be able to talk to and whatever.
Who's on?
Who's on? Whose shoulder I might be able to look over in the press box while talking to them and eating Indian food incorrectly. Also, in the meantime, I'd blacked out and said yes, but and that was particularly funny because in the live shows we've been doing leading up to that lunch program, part of the one of the small bits we did was just noting that Star Sports lunchtime programming is actually Kohli TV. For example, they had one of their programs was Kohli Bullies the Bullies. Just 20 minutes of him alphaing people on the field and off.
Yeah. Just press conferences, sledging, that sort of stuff.
I love that in Australia.
And a celebration of that.
Imagine Aussies could do that. For 5 years continuous programming.
We've got a 5-part series of vlogs. That's a 5-year series.
Yeah, that's
got neighbours every night.
Like the whole country just admitted that part of it viscerally liked the bullying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway. And so we've been sledging Star Sports lunchtime programming, then we're asked to join that lunchtime program. Oh, absolutely, jump in bed with that.
Oh, yeah, of course. No love
problem.
You guys.
Absolutely love Star Sports. Yeah.
I love what you guys at lunchtime, especially. You love that part. Right. Get us on that bit.
You've got to be the change you want to see. Anyway, so look, going around it. And so, we went down to the ground, lunch, day one. I don't know, Australia might have been a couple down. It's got off to a good start, but a couple down. It was cool. All the, everyone you think would be out there is out there. And it turned out we're going to do a program with, my auntie, and everyone who hears me say that thinks I'm saying my auntie, and I apologise. I'm just trying to say her name correctly, who's the host broadcaster, along with people by the name of Sunil Gavaskar and Mark Waugh.
Oh, I remember them, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's just a quick hello to them before we jump on air. And
hey boys, how you doing? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Hey June.
Hey June.
That kind of thing.
Sonny, what's going on, brother?
Yeah. And Junior says to Sonny, they'll make fun of you, and Sonny's he's more experienced with interviewing with us than June. He's like, oh no, he doesn't. He's like,
I don't give a fuck.
Leave me alone. Who are you? You know. And
what was it? Threes?
Yeah. Okay. What's threes? I don't know what happens in third grade. That's actually him at the start of the show. Who said so. Anyway, June was great, very very gracious and kind, and spoke with us a little bit, and then we got on air and. I mean, should we just like I thought the chat was very quick.
Yeah.
You didn't even get a go on the mic, to my embarrassment. But
you got to keep an eye out. So Mark sort of cuts across Pez here when he's talking, which is obviously broadcasting 101. Come with Junior.
I thought it went okay.
No, it was fine. It was fine.
We published the vlog today, which showed the footage, and something happened in it that I hadn't quite picked up at the time.
Has he done the unthinkable?
Let's have a look.
It's my auntie. I can't really remember my name right now, and I wouldn't dare sledge Mark Waugh, my hero. From where I grew up, and I do have to go back to Australia as well and face him. So I'm not going to sledge Mark Waugh right now.
Oh, good on you,
Yeah, what was that? And for the background, like they said to us just before we went on air, Mark War's forgotten some statistic or other about Nathan Lyons. So
that he got a 5 for.
He got a 5 for or something, and all of us were just like, what gives one? Yeah. And so I was being encouraged to make fun of Mark War on Star Sports, and I just looked at June. I was like, "There's no way I'm doing that." So should we just again? Look, what can we just listen one more time because I actually missed that. Listen to what he says.
My auntie, I can't really remember my name right now, and I wouldn't dare sledge Mark War, my hero, from when I grew up. And I just support him. And I do have to go back to Australia as well and face him. So I'm not going to sledge Mark War right now.
My neck snapped this morning.
I
had whiplash.
I think he's done you.
Well, because I didn't notice it at the time. I mean, I said I couldn't even remember my name.
I don't actually remember that happening.
Neither. And but listening back, I tried. Like basically, they were inviting me to criticize, our own heroes on foreign TV, which I refused to do.
Well, it's us against them.
And I saw Mark War give it the big fist on air. You can see, like he fist pumps. I'm like, yes, I've pleased Mark War. Yeah. I'm fucking happy with that. Now I'm listening back, and I think he's done me. Deluxe. I'm not sure. So I think he said, "Good on you, champ," which is just. I think that's deserved, frankly.
Yeah.
For probably years of.
Look, can't have any complaints.
I can't have complaints about Mark War champing me on TV. In fact, I'll kind of warm to it. But he may have also said, "Good on you, Sam." I just can't quite work it out. Leave it to the listeners. Have I been champed by Mark War, or has he used my name kindly?
Right.
I think he has been, honestly, the best performed commentator for Australia. That's probably not been hard on this trip.
Oh, he's been better than most of the players. I mean, he's had a stunning series. Stunning series
from Mark War.
Support for TGC is coming via Patreon these days at the moment, patreon.com/Great Cricketer, where at the moment you can get all the dailies for the Border Gavaskar Trophy series. One more test to go, and I suppose there's 3 ODIs happening after that, which we'll be covering as well. Then the IPL starts, then it's the Ashes, and then there's a 50-over World Cup. Oh, and then before you know it, summer's here again. So all the dailies for the YouTube series, the audio lives exclusively at patreon.com/Great Cricketer. And also hashtag ASKTGC Fridays, where we spoke about the breastfeeding in grade terms and the story of the breastfeeding groom before the wedding. We also spoke about breastfeeding on planes. And just generally more of that kind of gear. And Jack commented, had tears in my eyes laughing at the old Australian accents and had to take my headphones out and explain to the office that it was just a cricket podcast. Only male in my team. Happy Friday. Happy Friday indeed. So every Friday, hashtag AskTGC Fridays comes out on Patreon plus all the dailies. That's where you get it from. All right. Australia won the 3rd test match there in Indore. India made 109. Matt Kuhneman took 5 for 16 and has subsequently got a dog and called it indoor. Lyon took 3 for 35. Then Australia hit 197. Khawaja hit 60. Jadeja got 4 for. India won 63 in the 3rd innings. Pujara was doing the business, scored 59. Then Nathan Lyon took a lazy 8 for 64. Only his second best figures, of course. But 11 for the match as well. Then Australia needed 76 or something to win, and Travis Head, the bin lid, hit 49. Red.
Bin lid on the shit tip.
So... That's good. Australia have subsequently qualified for the World Test Championship final. India will qualify if they win the 4th test there in Ahmedabad starting on Thursday. Sri Lanka have to win 2-0 in New Zealand to go above India if India lose or draw the match. And that series, by the way, starts on Thursday. So basically, we've now got locked in the two finalists for the World Test Championship, if that wasn't already supposed. Though, that is just disrespectful to Sri Lanka, as is my want. The pitch
it'd be pretty funny if New Zealand decided to put the Q in the rack.
That would be good. The pitch has been rated poor and deducted 3 demerit points. Very fortunate it wasn't on a public holiday that weekend, because they would have lost all rights and visitation rights as well. That's how those things work. I'm not sure how that works.
Speeding fine reference.
Good thing it wasn't over Easter. That would have been 6 demerit points and a bigger fine. India have got 25 international grounds. So, and you need 5 demerit points to get a deduction of, to be banned from hosting a fixture for 12 months. So I reckon they're going to be okay. Anyway, the pitch was shit, and Rohit says there's been too much talk about the pitches in this series, generally speaking. If I can just give you some stats to just sort of ask, the questions why we might be talking about the pitch. This was the 4th shortest test in India ever. The shortest was in Ahmedabad, where the next test match is against England in 2021. Then the next one after that was against Bangladesh in 2019. And then the one after that was in Bangladesh in 2018. So in the last 5 years, 4 of the shortest test matches ever in India have occurred. Since 1900, these 3 tests have had the second fewest amount of balls bowled in it. Some Indian batting averages have collapsed in the last 3 years. So I'm going to give you some averages from 2017 to 2020, and then since 2021. So Rohit was averaging 156, now averages 44. This is in India. KL Rahul, 76 to 9. Pujara, 90 to 22. And Kohli, 115 to 22. So part of my takeaway from that is, fuck me, that was smoking him from 2017 to 2021. And then since then, no one's averaging above anything respectable. So do you want to... I mean, the pitch is I think that's the base SCI alarm going off outside. We're about to be arrested because obviously you can't criticise Indian pitches. People have been saying like, well, you know, how come we never complain when we go anywhere else? It's like, yeah, why is that? Why is that? I mean, it just feels like they're playing this game where it's on occasion... these doctored wickets go too far, and then you get the state of these pitches which become farcical. And if this wasn't farcical, it was very close to it. I think some very fair points have been made that the pitches, or this kind of wicket specifically, if not the ones in the first and second ones, they remove the element of skill of the players, and like too much of luck comes into the game. And also, I think that these wickets negate any sort of home advantage because they essentially become a shootout. We've obviously been speaking about this game in particular throughout the series on YouTube as well and on Patreon. But yeah, I mean, nothing's really changed since then. It was a dog shit pitch and it was a shootout game, and Australia were on the winning side of it this time. Yeah. Thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts. I'm really looking forward to our chat, and we haven't had this chat yet. I'm really looking forward to our chat with Ramachandra Guha because I accept a lot of people tiring of pitch chat as well. I mean, I just think generally speaking in any kind of media or narrative kind of based exercise, when you get into repetition, the people get tired.
Yeah, true.
You know, we've probably given it pretty large on the pitch. A number of Australians have, and so I think it kind of flicks a bit of a reflex for people of like, okay, you know, enough's enough. Let's talk about the game. But the reason why I think pitches are interesting now, like by now, and I think there is a difference between the way bad pitches manifest overseas and in India, is because there's this small sense that the way pitches come together in India is potentially part of a broader project, you know, a broader kind of almost like a national project. Hell-bent on Indian success. Now, I just could not be more cautious talking about these things because I've only been to India twice and for a small amount of time, and there's much more to learn again, which is why we have invited Ramachandra onto the show as well. But it just occurs to me that, for example, one of the differences between the retort, which is, well, what about what happened at the Gabba where you guys produced a shit pitch, or that time, you know, 5 years ago when the MCG got a bad rating as well, is that those things are... don't occur to me to be part of a coordinated effort of consistently disadvantageous wickets to oppositions. They're sort of these things that come up as a result of poor curation or mistakes in curation. It's not part of a coordinated, what appears to be a coordinated campaign to push oppositions down. And they are poor pitches in and of themselves. I think... where pitches are interesting is what's going on in India. Why are we continually getting the feeling that that India is sort of brazenly, you know, it's not rigging. I just mean in the kind of general sense of the word, like rigging the game against oppositions and creating, you know, huge advantages for themselves. And why is it on top of that its chief commentators refuse to criticise the state of the pitch? I mean, what you say is right. It's more a lottery than skill. It's not complete lottery. Like I want to get onto Australia and what a win that was for them, but it is a little bit. And why is though he caveated it very well, you know, why is Rohit Sharma sort of with such hubris talking about which pitch they're going to order in for the fourth test should they win this one.
Yeah.
I do think it links to a broader national project. I think it's linked to this sense that India must bestow glory to itself on the world stage. I don't know enough about it, but it's just when it continues to happen, it's rank turner after rank turner after fucked up rank turner, and then we're going to see what's next. It does have these collateral effects on its own batters, and fast bowlers are just taking a holiday, on these decks, and so it's just curious. I just think people, and maybe the right words haven't been attributed to it yet, but it does seems like part of something broader. To me, without knowing exactly what it is. So I think that's, I thought you sort of quite viscerally highlighted that in the famous clip now, post the third test, which Australia won. I don't know everything about it, but I think it's a bit of a new concept. Like, it's not a new concept that teams at home try and get conditions in their favour, but it exists it does exist. It's a matter of degree, and the degree seems it's very much pushing. It's very much pushing.
Yeah. Well, I've actually been to India twice, mate, so I've actually figured it out. Unlike you, you've only been there twice. So I've got a few more sort of collected thoughts.
I'm pretty sure we were there at the same time, unless that wasn't you.
But it's interesting, there's this sort of retort from fans or just internet users that is just like, how come we never complain about it? And it's not just the Australian fans or the teams or whatever just complaining about it. It's every touring team that goes there. Now, obviously, when England and Australia go there, those are the two biggest series. More noise is made about that. There's more media about it. But it's the same with South Africa, New Zealand, when England went there in 2021, and Australia this time. And there's this sort of false equivalence, I think, with an argument of being like, well, what about your pitches? And it's like, well, half of Australia's pitches now are drop-in wickets because the AFL owns all the grounds in Australia. And then, to my observation, though, I don't know how the fuck a pitch is made. I don't know, and nor does anyone listening to this or watching this. But
if you do, get in touch.
Yeah, please get in touch. Gaz, if you're out there, let us know.
I mean, proper curators, not blokes who look at it and go, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen here, and you have no idea.
Just turn up to a game in a grey hoodie with arms folded, standing one wicket.
That's right.
Fuck these blokes, I hate them anyway.
I've got to go to the plastic surgeon. My mouth's dripping off again.
My face is melting. Like Perth, for instance, like my understanding is like the soil, like the foundation of the wicket, but based on the soil produces bounce and fast seam. It's not like curated that way. That's my understanding of it anyway. Like Headingley, for instance, if it's overcast, you bowl. India does have the power. I think they should be manipulating overhead conditions more, in my opinion. Some weather balloon stuff. I'm not sure indoor stadiums they should be doing more of these things. But yeah, it's just a continual theme now over and over again about the state of these pitches. And so there's this argument for why is everyone whinging about it? It's like, why are we? Why is this over and over and over again?
I mean, look, I think it's a complicated thing,
of course
that we're talking about it. I also detect in a lot of the complaining about Indian wickets a discomfort with Indian cricket hegemony generally.
Of course,
which then can kind of skew off into other areas that are altogether more ugly. And I don't think that. I think it's important to acknowledge that Australia and England, haven't been angels when it's come to how they've hosted oppositions in the past as well. But we're talking about matters of degree, and I can also understand why Indians, I think we've said this before, are not really that accommodating of lectures on ethics and morals from their fucking Anglo oppressors from the past, and I think lots of those themes feed into this discussion, which makes it really evocative, but similarly, I think, we've pushed hard, the important public square commentary of the grade cricketer. 20 years of grizzled experience in twos and threes from 01 to 09 inclusive and beyond. But we've pushed hard after this test because Australia won this one, so it's the only time you should validly make that criticism is when you've won, not when you've lost. Because when you've lost, it's this is an excuse. When Australia's won this game, So that's why you've got to raise it. And I also think being over in India, you do observe a seeming decline in academic and public conversational freedoms, as evidenced by the commentary that we get on TV as well. And so you also feel this, I don't know about you, but like you feel this reflex as an outsider to go like, well, hang on, am I being gaslit here? What the fuck is going on? I mean, Carey's taken one of the great stumpings off Rohit Sharma. The next one goes underneath someone's bat, you know, like that's off and that needs to be raised. And you may as well go for it after you've won a game, because Lord knows what's going to happen the next game, and the one after, and the one after.
Look, odds on Australia loses series 3-1, you know, and there'll be I'll be turned into a meme, and that's just how it's going to be. I
Fuck
also
around and find out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, indeed.
You've done that plenty of times in the last 10 years.
I've found out way too much stuff.
I can attest. Through DMs and stuff.
I also get the sense though, like had India won this game, there'd be significantly less conversation about the state of this pitch. You know, I do think it is like magnified because the home side has lost. That it's not just like, well, Australian skill is inferior to the home team's skill because they lost that game, and so you'd be like, well, you guys just need to learn how to play against spin. As the spinner obviously made a YouTube video midway through the series. You know, there's all these other things,
and then change the title,
and then change the title of that, the day after they
and referring to him as the spinner like an opposition politician would. We cannot refer to my opponent by name.
That's right.
The name is Ramachandra Guha.
Yeah, that's right.
Who put a YouTube video out saying how to play spin
how to bat against spin in India.
Yeah.
And then losing the next game, then changing the thumbnail and title of that video. You know, mate, just
2-0.
The levels to that is fucking unbelievable. And then the coach is like, Rahul Dravid is then like talking to the curators in a very animated. I was going to say aggressive. I think it was animated manner on day one of. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't think so. Anyway,
but I think. To zoom out from it, because it's one thing to simply remark on the pitches being shit, you know, and then I think the next order of thinking would be like, well, why? You know, what is this? This isn't. These aren't one-offs.
It's not an accident.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Look, that was an accident. That pitch, obviously, they fucked it. They fucked the cooking of it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, what's the broader initiative or activity at play here? What are the conditions and what's the environment that's leading to this continual sense of like these games are being cooked to really advantage the home team, you know? And I just think that the degree of it is going beyond a very valid retort, which is every home team does it.
Right.
I just think it's going a bit beyond that, and I do think it's connected to something broader in terms of what's going on in Indian cricket. And that is a very relevant question insofar as this is the organisation that essentially controls the game. You know, if we're back safe and sound in Melbourne, these questions are worthy of inquiry. What is it that's happening? It's
very fair and rational. I was also thinking, I mentioned the drop of the averages in the last 3 years for those Indian batters. Like Kohli averages 48 in Test cricket. It is remarkable, given that he's playing half of those games in his own country. You have to bat on these, that it's anywhere near 50. But you know, some of these batters must be like, fucking hell, any danger of a little floodie coming up. You know. Anyway, should we talk about the game itself?
Yeah, I like, mate. I just want to say, and this is not backed up by how we've started this show, but I think having had time to digest the win for Australia, I think it's one of their best ever wins in my lifetime. Really, I mean, I thought that they played superbly, considering the context of that game. I mean, they went into that game like completely, suffering a barrage of criticism at home from all and sundry. I mean, to the and the captain had gone home. Fucking half the team seems like they've gone home.
Batter injured.
Yeah, I mean, Agar's home in kind of in sad and strange circumstances.
Some sort of flux. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting master classes with dustbins from the old generation. Right. We're getting op-eds in news limited papers, connecting it all to political ideology. Like it was hysteria, you know, and to go along with the correct gloating of Indians and 12-year-olds on YouTube saying how you actually play spin in India and the actual spinner doing that too.
Right, yeah.
I think against that backdrop, it was a historic performance, and everybody in the team contributed. I won't go through every single one. And the big charge against this team has been, and these guys have been waiting to fucking criticize them so badly, so much, has been toughness. Where's their toughness? They're too woke. They're too soft. They're not tough enough. I mean, Pujara's on 50 odd. India are about to get a lead with a couple of wickets in hand with their strong batting depth. And the catches that Smith and then Khawaja and Cameron Green took and the way Nathan Lyon bowled, I mean, what is toughness if it's not that? It's not yelling at people. It's not hard noses. It's not fucking swearing or being physically demonstrative. It was just, it is.
I would have got a couple of send-offs.
Yeah. That's right. There's something to work on.
Yeah.
What's toughness if not, losing 6 for 18 and 6 for 11 in the last 2 innings, chasing 76, seeing out those 10 overs. Travis Head and Marnus Labuschagne with excellent precision in defence and then going for the kill and doing it superbly. That's what toughness is. So they're literally doing the thing all the time that they're being accused of not doing. They're now in the World Test Championship final. I liked, if I could just carry on here, I liked, I thought Steve Smith's captaincy was just outstanding, and it was so great to see him in his absolute element, tactically on the field in India, riding every ball and winning the minutiae. He was just in his element, he was where he needed to be in his life at that time, and that was fucking awesome. And I was really proud. And and then I see a couple of pieces after they win the game suggesting that he must be captain long term now. A lot of staff writer pieces as well in the same publications. And it just reminds you that some of these, some people are not going to stop until Cummins is punished for fronting JL's axing. They're just not going to stop. They just got it in for him, even in this moment in time for him.
Well, they're cowards.
I seem to recall this didn't happen to Ricky Ponting when Adam Gilchrist literally won the series as captain for Australia. And looking back on that, Ponting was younger than Cummins is now. He'd captained even fewer tests at that time as Cummins is captain now, so less established as test skipper. And I don't recall any public campaign at the time from particular media outlets with clear political ideologies to oust Ponting.
The culture war hadn't started yet.
Well, figured
that's literally the answer.
I figured that Gilchrist hadn't made a public position on anthropogenic climate change. So if he had, and that would have been very ahead of his time.
I don't think an inconvenient truth had come out yet.
So that was to Gilchrist's credit.
Yeah.
But
well, here's something else for Castrol.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I mean, not Gilchrist. I mean Ponting. Ponting hadn't come out with a view on that.
Okay. Kept his cards close to his chest then.
Yeah. So Anyway, something to consider.
So to that end, he was obviously asked about it, Steve Smith, and then his quote was, "My time is done. It's Pat's team now," which I thought showed great maturity. I think if he wanted to, he could have been like, "Wow, let's
could have dog whistled a couple of things."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's snowing in parts of the world, so explain that climate change.
But I mean, just what McDonald and Cummins as well. Cummins should take credit for that, for just the and of course Smith, but for the composure and the resilience of the team in that situation. To play, McDonald called it perfect cricket apart from the big collapse at the start of day 2. And it really was. The Australian teams don't perform like that under that pressure. So I really think that they, that's a great reflection on the entire leadership that they won that game, and it should be called out.
I also think, mate, that given the changes that were made. Okay, just for this test match, Renshaw, Cummins and Warner were out for Stark, Head and Green. Obviously various circumstances, which I'm sure most people are across the reasons for that. But, Travis Head being dropped at the beginning and they brought Renshaw in. And then they sort of, for the second test match, they sort of realised that they'd made a mistake. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think it was sort of praised that as well, in that okay, making the mistake equals bad, but then rectifying that mistake and acknowledging that you made a mistake and changing it immediately when you realise you made a mistake equals good.
Yes.
You know, and I, before the series, was like many people, including, I guess, the selectors being like, Travis said, oh, I'm not really sure about it in Asia because he hasn't shown me a lot of things. Yeah. And then somehow he's just played, I'm sure, one of the best innings of his life.
Yeah.
49 not out.
Absolutely.
On the state of that wicket, chasing after they lost 6 for 11.
State of it.
The state of it. The state of LinkedIn. You know, so like it should be. I mean, there's just, I feel like not necessarily going over the top, but given the blowback and the absolute fucking bullshit that I hear all the time from just fucking idiots and also ex-players, just talking absolute nonsense. I feel like going back, like too far the other way with it, being like just praising like when they make good calls with selections.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you want to balance it because there's like it's not coordinated, but like pretty concerted campaign to undermine the team at any opportunity when they
and
slip.
the coaching staff.
They have been. I mean, they have been almost perfect. This team since Cummins took over. It's just like, but you don't hear it in the press because guys are just waiting to line him up and line everybody else up.
He's only lost 3 games since he's been captain, 2 of which have been in the series.
Yeah.
You look at the World Test Championship table, they'll finish now top despite what happens in the last game. It's like 68% win percentage over the course of 18 or 20-something games. I mean, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. But, you know, can't play spin sometimes. So, well, speaking of spin, Nathan Lyon's 8 for 64, his second best ever figures, his third 10-for in his career, 11 for the match, obviously. Rohit Sharma said that he is the #1 overseas bowler to come and play here in tests. That's extremely high praise. Obviously, he's picked him up a couple of times, so he's bound to say that. Well, he's the best I've ever seen, so I don't really see the issue.
Yeah. No shame in getting out of the best.
No. He's on something in the realm of 470, 480 test wickets now, so you would think that he would go past 500 if selected for the Ashes. And I think, in my opinion, I think he should at least go on the tour, Nathan Lyon. So he's looking at 500 test wickets there in England, where I'm sure he'll receive a warm reception for that. But
it's the same one as they give Root when he scores 100. Saying Root.
Yeah, that's right. You know, like I'm not sure like what the superlatives are required for such a thing, but you know, I was looking when he got the 8 for, then I was looking at his top bowling performances, and he's got like 5 or 6 in India, which he's got his 8 from Pune, I think was his best, and then he's got 8 for here. He's also got 2 7-fers and a couple of 5-fers.
Pune. He was one of the other ones.
Might have been Bangalore then.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever it was, it's just like his record in India is actually fucking really good, like stacks of wickets.
Yeah, just as the other batters' averages have started to go down a bit.
That's completely bizarre.
Yeah, bizarre.
Completely bizarre stuff.
I don't know.
But I don't know. I mean,
I think Matt Kuhneman talked about moving to India.
Yeah, it does look fun to bowl, as opposed to Allan Border Oval in
5 for
Queensland
16 from Kuhneman as well. That's fucking so good. I like it. You know, say what you like about shit tips.
Well, it's his job.
It's
what he's supposed to do.
That's what he said to do.
That's what he said to do.
That's a good point.
Like turning track, got to go turn up and do the job. Put it in the right spot, get it down there.
That's right.
Rohit's going to run past
Murphy
one.
9 months ago, knocking around for Tracy Village, got coal in his pocket. Yeah, it's all
about 3 times.
It's all good stuff. All of a sudden, Australia's the fucking mecca for spin bowling.
Yeah. Oh man, our mood's going to change so much in 7 days' time. We've been dusted in Ahmedabad in 3 days.
Yeah. Well, you know, just for now, it might be 2-2, which would be incredible. I just cannot emphasise enough how fucked Australia was after Delhi.
Mate, if it's 2-2, that would be up there with one of the best results in my lifetime. Like any series. West Indies that's winning that series in 1995.
Yeah.
Even last year's 2-2. You know, winning in England all those times, although it felt easy back then in the 90s and
but we won't be
2001.
happy because I've noted a couple of people now are starting to say, gee, they really let India off the hook in Delhi.
You know,
we could have had Delhi.
That's the one that got away, mate.
The one that got away. I really, I appreciate the points. Like, well, we had India 7 for 130 and we made it 260. And then I see that as just a 2 innings game. They finished a run behind us and then they smashed us in the second innings as is their want. And I thought India won that game fair and square.
Well, to your point though, it does make it interesting what the truth of the series is so far. India have been the better team in 2 of those games. I do feel like, I mean, they had a guy who fair and square bats at 8, Axar Patel, who at 7 75.
Yeah.
So that's, you can't just like erase that. Like, he did it because he's good.
Right. Yeah. When we collapse, that's not India playing well. That's just a fuck up on our part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to come down the deck for those.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's classic grade cricket. It's like the opposition is afforded no credit for any success.
I remember a guy that I played with, wicketkeeper. Doesn't matter where he played in the field. That's what he did, and he used to say anytime if someone got 100 against us, which was actually quite common, he said that he should have come into a dressing room and apologised for that innings because it was shit.
It's the worst 100 I've ever seen.
Worst 100 I've ever seen.
I've seen a lot of bad 100s,
especially against us.
Yeah.
He should apologise.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry to put you through that. Yeah, 130 off 140 rocks today. Sorry, boys. Yeah.
Kawhi just not, you could actually you could go through every player all the way. I mean, Carey has struggled for some runs in this test because he's not been allowed socially and culturally to play the shot that he plays. But even he just kept.
He was outstanding,
magnificently, as you pointed out in that first innings. One of the best displays of keeping from an Australian in India ever.
I agree with that, mate. Yeah. I agree with that, mate. That first stumping of Rohit Sharma, it looks easy because Rohit doesn't try to get back,
and it is,
and it's his job.
Yeah.
And that's all I want to say about that. You've been given mitts. Yeah, Kookaburra response to you. They've given you gloves.
That's right.
Fucking use them.
What are the gloves for?
You're supposed to use them.
What's the webbing of the glove they're just stuck in for? Yeah, I love that. Yeah, just starting to border on earnestly praising other men and then just quickly reflexing into that's his job, man.
Back in.
Yeah, what's he paid for?
Fuck, man,
he's lucky to get paid.
Yeah, they're paid very well, these players. They're paid very well.
They travel on jumbo jets. Very rich of them to make some of the comments they are.
The Airbus 380, very nice.
I haven't heard the term jumbo jet for a while. It's the sort of thing you'd say in primary school. You know what I mean? Are you on a jet? Are you on a plane or a jumbo jet?
You on a jumbo jet?
Yeah. Not be confused with SS Jumbo.
I'd like to be called Jumbo.
Oh.
My kingdom to be called Buckets for a day.
I felt like a jumbo when the Red Bull guys gave us our boxes to play against those kids.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, you'll see that in the 5th vlog.
Yeah. Allegedly they were men's size boxes. Fucking hell. I felt incredible.
Yeah, good result for me.
Felt incredible.
Anyway, yeah, Carey kept well.
I suppose that's the point. The Sheffield Shield is going on.
Oh yeah.
That's what's happening at the moment in Australia. Well, what's happening at the moment is the AFL is about to start and the NRL started on the weekend. So it's a shame. It's a shame the boys couldn't get that done before that started. But c'est la vie.
That was a song.
Yeah, a hell of a song. Hell of a song.
Ruined song.
I actually heard it on the radio the other day.
Ah.
Let me tell you, it was fucking tops off. Tops off.
What station are we listening to?
Oh, I'm not sure of the stations down here.
But
I think it's called My Spotify Most Played.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You calling that radio now? That's interesting. Spotify radio. Yeah, it's just funny how, really funny, hilarious.
Here we go.
How songs that you listened to as a kid are turning up on some of the old timey stations now.
Yeah.
I heard Mr Brightside on Classic Hits the other day.
See you later.
Shit, see you later.
Fuck me.
Yeah. Anyway.
Carey did keep well.
Booked in for a colonoscopy after that. Which one's that again? Is that actually getting the...
It's part of some full-service massage places. I understand. Anyway, the Sheffield Shield.
Hey.
Some would describe it as a colonoscopy.
New South Wales.
New South Wales in absolute bits. Have they won a game yet?
No.
Bottom of the table. Western Australia, top of the table. They beat Tasmania, Western Australia, and New South Wales lost to Victoria by 10 wickets, where Victoria chased a gallant 6 in the 4th innings. Incredible stuff. Matt Short scored 100.
Again.
For Victoria.
Shorty.
Runs everywhere. Now, talking about bolters for the Ashes, because obviously the Ashes is the only series that matters in any lifetime. Are we going to get a Smoky? Who are your Smokies? Maybe one of them is Spencer Johnson.
I was being confused with Sponsor Jensen, which is a jewellery brand, which we're looking at as a sponsor.
Spencer Johnson. That's a good name.
Yeah, it sounds like a band.
That's a name I can get behind.
A frontman or a band.
Spencer Johnson.
Yeah,
that's a piece on that, isn't there?
That's what his dad said when they named him. Spencer Johnson. It's almost like it's a nom de plume, you know. His name is like, Grant Mayfair or something. Yeah.
I think nom de plume played Dutch centre midfield.
He did.
Ajax.
He did, yeah. He replaced Van Basten.
That's right.
So Spencer Johnson's 7 for the Sackers, and I just like seeing success for the Sackers. I like seeing anyone in South Australia do well at anything.
I like them win a game.
Yeah, but Spencer Johnson,
nice.
the people will be cooing over him because he bowls rapid and he's left and he's
it's big.
It's big. It's rapid.
It's blonde.
And it's a bit it's kind of not mercurial in that it can be like really up and down, but he's capable of big feats, and he's come from injury.
Big feeds.
Feats.
Feats.
And has big feet.
I thought he was just going to the pub and just smashing a palmer.
Yeah, that's right. He gets the double Merton, before the game on Saturday. Can you do the double Merton, the two palmers? Sorry.
He goes to places they have like a burger, and if you finish the burger, you get your picture on the wall.
Correct. Yeah. I hope to get through this podcast before 17 tangents on every single sentence. But he's one of those guys. It's like there's whispers about him. He's a little bit older. He's not a young guy. He's had injuries, so he's actually had the badge of honour of stressies and other things, which means he must be quick because he's had the stressies.
Oh, wow!
And he took 7 for here.
Wow!
And it's a bit blonde and it's a bit big and it's photogenic and. And I saw, Stark keeps dipping that finger into Ravi Shastri's Merlot, and so I'm just seeing another left armour come through.
Yeah.
So I'm liking that.
I'm excited by things that are big that I've never seen before.
Yeah, it's thoroughbred. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw a photo of it, and it looks thoroughbred. Yeah, the bread is thorough.
Yeah, and because you haven't heard of it that much, it's more novel.
I've never heard of him before.
I want to see
Australia.
it. Yeah, who is this?
I don't want to see it until he's got a baggy green in his bonds. And then I'll watch the
and
first
a bag
over.
of green in his bonds, which he's trying to carry into the UK. Now,
he's put it under his hat.
Spencer, you've just ruined your dream of playing for Australia. Sullying the baggy green. Bag of green under the baggy green. Craig Matthews used to do that.
Yeah.
Playing
Allegedly.
grade cricket.
Yeah, that's right.
Before he'd scoop up shit at drinks with the opposition's classes. Now that's a story.
That was at my club.
Was it?
That was at Clara Oval, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Nice one. Now, anyway, he played well, Spencer Johnson. What else is happening around the Sheffield Shield scene? New South Wales in bits. We're going to talk to Trent Copeland soon upon his retirement, so he probably doesn't want to talk about it that much. But, congrats on your career, Trent. You guys are going pretty shit, aren't you? What are we looking at, Copes? Rats off a sinking ship? Anyway.
Fucking hell.
Sorry. We're in the mood.
I was looking at some stats just before Pez, and I was looking at leading run scorers. Cameron Bancroft, he's on 825 runs or some shit for the season. And next most is like 500.
Well, he's 175 short of anything, of it meaning anything.
Of it meaning anything.
Yeah, I don't recognise anything unless it's 4 figures.
Do you know what? I think he'll be on the jumbo jet.
Oh, yeah. God,
I think he's on the jumbo jet.
Yeah, he's on.
Especially with Ricky Ponting's comments about Warner. Backing up something like, I thought the best time for him to finish would have been the Sydney Test this year, which did make sense in lots of capacities.
Talk about safety, like because we don't see Ricky Ponting on an internet, like on away tours, and like someone had the camera on him as well. I don't know if you saw him on the camera, but he just looked so focused, and he was really.
Well, where was this?
I don't know. He had a suit on. He looked like he was outside the Melbourne Cup, which obviously wasn't running. I'm sure he was at something more dignified, but he had a suit on. I don't know if he got door stopped or something. But
was this in the news or something?
Yeah. So this is when he made his comments. And,
okay.
And he's said that he thought retiring after that 200 would have been right, and now he risks getting a tap on the shoulder during an away tour. And I liked how he said that because it was like Ponting knows the aesthetics and the politics of of managing your exit from the game and the aesthetic of it. He wasn't perfect either, but like even just knowing it's an away tour and like just how you want to go out. But I like that Warner hasn't stage managed a retirement to maximise the goodwill towards him. Like it seems, unless he's got other plans, but it seems to me like
he hasn't finished the book yet. It's got to coincide it.
Yeah, he's talking to Pete Lawler. He's helping him with the book, going, "Where are you at the book? Where are you at the book, Lawler?"
He's got to wrap it up. I can't score run, save me life. I get off the square, Pete. Any
danger? Yeah. I admire if Warner is hanging around to make good on the Ashes that went poorly for him last time. I think from a sporting perspective, that's good, you know. But he's now subject to the whim of selectors being like, I'm not sure about you, vis-a-vis blokes around the wicket. So
maybe England though will doctor the pitches to be flat so they can baseball us.
That's going to be one of the big questions of the Ashes, which we may as well talk about, even though the India tour's on now. It's just like England's strength against Australia is a green seam, and we can't play that very well. But if they want a baseball and go 5 or 6 and over, then they're going to have to flatten the deck. What's it going to be? Probably whatever.
Should we talk to Trent Copeland?
Yeah.
Should we do T20 Stars first?
Yeah, T20 Stars, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to let you know that they are having an enormous end-of-season sale.
EOS.
The entire T20 Stars range. Now, get this. And look, it's not a special TGC code. That's how comprehensive and thorough this is.
It's store-wide.
The entire T20 Stars range is giving you 50% off.
50% off?
50% off. If
What?
you enter the code EOS50.
You don't get unless you enter the code.
In capitals, EOS50. Entire range, 50% off. Genuinely have T20 Stars kit, kindly brought by Watto when we disgraced ourselves on a ball machine going at 140k. Sorry, everyone. And I can attest that it is very worthy kit. And if you're getting 50% off that, I would fucking get involved deluxe.
Now,
if you're a person who's got an eye for a good deal, that's a genuinely good deal as opposed to the other ones we've given you in the past.
That's right. Or we will later in the show. But you know, when we had a net in India, we're doing some stuff.
Yeah, that'll come out.
We're doing some stuff with Red Bull, who were supporting us through the Indian tour as well. And we just had a net with these kids. Not sure I should have couched it that way, but I did. And I'll tell you what, in that moment when we're using bats which were designed for tennis balls, in that moment I was thinking like, what I wouldn't give for a T20 Stars stick right now.
A big old, thick old T20.
Now, had we known that was going to happen, I probably would have taken this kit over there, but that wasn't an opportunity. But the point being, it's good kit, and we have used it in the net before, and it is fine. It is fine kit.
EOS50 at t20stars.com.
Here he is. Here's Copes.
What a pleasure it is to have with us St George, Northamptonshire, New South Wales, Australian stalwart, Shield winner, One Day Cup winner, baggy green holder, New South Wales third leading wicket taker in its history with 344 wickets behind Jeff Lawson and Greg Matthews, Trent Copeland. Copes, he's just announced his retirement. He goes, he's been kind enough to join us today. And if you are watching on YouTube, appropriately, he appears to be sitting in a rocking chair, which I think is the only, and sort of rocking back and forth, as I can see, kind of maniacally. But Copes, thanks so much for coming on to the show, mate. Look, it's a cliche one to kick off with, but firstly, congrats on your career. Followed your success from the very start and have loved watching how well you've done against a lot of accepted wisdom. And secondly, you know, why retirement and how does it feel?
Yeah, thanks for having me, boys. It feels a little bit of, you know, the last couple of days has been a bit of a whirlwind, and I don't really know how to feel about it all. But one little anecdote from my last Shield game and the last day, I was about to buy my last over, and I guess a really good story for not only you guys when you say, Pez, you know, follow me from the start. Liam Hatcher, a teammate of mine, Red Nut, Big Mo, bowls fast, offered me on my last day. He said, because now the scenario is Shield cricket's finished, but I'm still going to play the first grade grand finals and stuff like that. He said, you're now officially a clubby and you always have been. So good luck in your last over. That was his congratulations to me. And I think, to be honest, if I look at it, that's really how I've considered myself the whole way through. I'm a guy that's just loved cricket, loved playing it. Wasn't overly that talented, but just loved competing. So it's been good fun. And yeah, it's over now. So I can sit back in a rocking chair, need a Zimmer frame to get around with the kids, but it's been great.
Many messages of support, Copes, and congratulations, most notably Usman yesterday on Instagram. I just want to know how true is it that you've spiked up your wife's netball shoes?
There's truth to it. Yeah, absolutely. When I first started in the squad with Uzi at the Blues, my wife, for those of you who don't know, played 20 years of elite netball for Australia and the Giants and the Swifts in Sydney. And she already had an ASICS deal. I had just got an ASICS deal when I started with the Blues and came in with some Larry shoes. And yeah, Uzi never let me forget it. Still to this day, obviously, in a little post on Instagram. So, hey, what's wrong with, real men wear pink? So I'm happy to rock it.
Perhaps just reflecting on your career, and I'm kind of conscious, and I think you do this too with very genuine, and I guess generous, self-deprecation. You're couching yourself as a clubby who bowled 120s or whatever you call it, whatever you want to call it. But your record stands for itself. You took 450 wickets at 25. Could obviously play the code. You were a challenge to accepted wisdom when you came into the New South Wales side that is bowling not 140 Ks an hour. And I sense that you had to continue producing performances to justify your inclusion rather than being a kind of a project selection. Do you think that Australian cricket through your time playing has broadened its view, on the orthodoxy of what it takes to be a good cricketer? Or do you think your advice to anyone bowling 120s is to get in the gym or, improve that?
Yeah, it certainly wasn't a rig-based selection either at that point. Or now for that matter. So yeah, I mean, my advice is if you want to let your skills do the talking, by all means go with it. But it's definitely still a hardest journey. If you're not the sexy new toy that could be the next Pat Cummins or the next Sean Tate in a bowling sense, you really have to do aim up and you have to be consistent. But you know what? The people that you sort of have to prove wrong over the time, and in my sense, the reason why I think I was consistent was because I knew that I could never let that slip. And I didn't want to fall back out of that New South Wales team because what happened in the Australian environment, I was only there for 3 tests to play and a few more as 12th man. But, immediately after that, it was Hazelwood, Pattinson, Stark, Cummins. So, there's always the next crop coming through. So, 120 sweatband swingers with a bit of aggression in the face. It's a tough road, but I've loved it.
I remember when you came into to get the gig in Sri Lanka, Copes, because you took 80 wickets in a Shield season, and then you took 5 in the warm-up game in Sri Lanka, and then you got your gig, and then you obviously got the 3 test matches, but then you never really fell out of the top wicket takers in Shield. And I know even in 2019 when they took 40 blokes over to England, and I think you might have been leading wicket taker in the Shield that year, and they didn't take you over there. Did you ever let go of the dream or have a realization of playing for Australia again, or was that 2019 series a bit any danger?
That was definitely the thoughts that went through my head because we made the Shield final and I'd taken 5 in the Shield final, albeit we lost that final, and taken sort of 50 plus wickets that year. And I thought that might have been somewhere where the conventional wisdom said that I couldn't play in Australia was the rationale, but certainly thought that I could add some value to an Ashes series over there. And when that didn't eventuate, I mean, like a few other cricketers around the traps and no doubt grade cricketers as well, you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, sweet. I'll just focus on this level then. But it gave me an opportunity to really just sit in that. And I found myself actually really enjoying more so the progression of the other blokes I was playing with, as opposed to, and what I could talk to them about with bowling rather than my own focus on playing for Australia. So yeah, it sucked, but that's the real talk, and it's not personal. But at the end of the day, the blokes that are paid to make those decisions didn't think I was up to it.
And how would you have bowled to Stokes at Headingley?
Well, I mean, I tell Gaz and Camo all the time. I mean, I would have got him out. I tell Gaz, and he's probably still not ready for this, but I would have caught that ball over the stumps. Those sort of things to get to me. But no, look, you know what we're both, you know, the three of us now are able to do is stuck in the position of, you know, best seat in the house at test venues, those sort of things, and talk shit about cricket. And I love doing that now just as much as I love playing. So hopefully I can do that for a while too.
Well, just to that end, Copes, you must be thrilled because now you've joined the ranks of former players who've played for Australia. So where are you at in terms of your political ideology, and what will you be going after Pat Cummins due to his position on anthropogenic climate change? Do you think Cummins is tough enough, and does his nose need to be harder?
Yeah, all of the above, really. And I need to really nail down where I stand on all of this and figure out, you know, the times when I really need to see Australia getting bowled out for 70 in India and think that's the time where I'm going to nail everyone, as opposed to, you know, in Australia when people fail. So, look, I am, you know, that is where, you know, you mentioned self-deprecating, a bit of awareness on being a clubby style guy. I think that is comfortably the reason why I sit in those boxes, in my opinion, and don't think that I'm anything like a legend. And I think that works in my favour in that sense, because I must say I've enjoyed your work, lads, talking about the, you know, the thumbs up stuff and the, you know, the shadow batting in the rooms. I can imagine there's been times where you've thought, Coach is at the big screen here and he knows absolutely nothing about what he's talking about. Let's get into him. But anyway, good fun.
Not at all. It's amazing how many, you know, very private DMs we're getting from people encouraging us to do it. Just nothing much in public happening. Do you feel you're more of a clubby among former players or current players?
Yeah, all of the above again, to be honest. You know, and you know, the amount of people I walk past and say, "Oh, geez, you must have imposter syndrome," you know, getting in there.
Fucking hell.
But you know, at the end of the day, I sit in commentary, say in the Big Bash finals this year, next to Ricky Ponting, who's one of the greatest players, greatest coaches, and hear him talk about the tactics of the game, the flow, and I've got a microphone next to him, and I'm supposed to go, mate, what are you talking about? Come on, this is what's happening. Yeah, obviously this is what's going on. But you gotta have some metal in the skin, that's for sure. And some of the stuff, boys, I don't know what you've thought about it, but the sledging of the Aussie boys and the stuff about Paddy in particular coming home before it was public knowledge about what was going on. I mean, I found myself sitting at home watching that and just had to verbalise on Twitter because it just became ridiculous. And it's like an objectifying nature about our Australian cricket team. So hopefully there's a bit of rationale there behind some of my words, be it on social media or, you know, with a microphone.
I mean, I just hope we get a result in Ahmedabad in the fourth test. Otherwise, I'm just going to absolutely have to give it to the boys. I'm sorry. Just won't have a choice, but just put the sweep shot away. Cope, you played four.
It's amazing they've been able to win and not been forbidden from playing particular shots as well.
You played 4 Shield finals, Copes, and you won 2 of them, and you didn't win the other 2. Like, which ones do you think about the most? The ones you won or the ones you lost? Because I remember every single loss and every drop catch, and there's a lot of them. So which one? Which side of the fence do you sit on there?
I must say I reflect on both, and I reckon I've learnt way more from the ones that we've lost. And the ones that we've lost have actually made us much better cricketers. I'll tell you what, now that I'm retired, all I'll talk about is the ones that, you know, inevitably the 30s that I got will turn into, do you remember the time where I got 60 red in the Shield final and that beautiful outswinger that pitched on leg and hit the outside of the off bail. So that's the stuff that I think, you know, when I talk to, honestly, hundreds of people have reached out in the last couple of days, which has been so beautiful. But I can't wait to actually sit down and have a beer and get back into those things, because when you're still playing, you just don't get a chance.
Yeah. Copes, it's a serious question, but obviously anyone who retires inevitably looks back on their career and the standard of play was much better when you were younger, than you are now. I mean, we went through great cricket around the same time. I mean, that's when Australian cricket was really at its peak.
Wasn't it good then?
Wasn't it very good? Really?
Very good.
And now, it's really falling away. But in all seriousness, are you able to reflect on how Australian cricket has changed, through your career from when you started all the way, from grade cricket, I suppose, through to now, and what are you predicting for the future? I mean, are things looking good for the standard of Australian cricket, or do you think it's falling away as some of us good players get older?
Well, certainly once us legends of the game leave, it's no. Look, I must say, I look back at it when I first started grade cricket and then was pushing into second 11. I felt an animosity around. I felt like it was a heated battle. There were endless amounts of 28 to 33-year-old players at the level just below Shield cricket that were pushing everyone to be better. And it was legitimately a thrash and bash of the best that could possibly play the next game of Shield cricket. In my career, upwards of 13 years, nearly 15 years, it's been very much a focus on the next 19-year-old that could play 10 years of first class and test cricket, as opposed to who are currently our best cricketers. That's probably, it's an overarching generalisation about the system, but I would be amazed if either of you disagree with that. And it's certainly, affected the amount of guys that are in that age bracket of, 25 to 31 that just give the game away. If you actually ask all the legends, the best batters, the Mike Hussies, the Steve Smiths of the world, when did you become your best player? In yourself. You knew your game, you'd found your way, your method. Inevitably, all of them are going to talk about 28, 29, 30. And we've already ruled out those guys, if they haven't looked like the next Steve Smith and also averaged 70 at the lower level. So, and attribute-based stuff for quicks is, a real bugbear of mine. Let guys go out and figure out how to be themselves and how to take wickets. And if they're good enough, they'll find their way. Don't just pick them because they're tall and they bowl fast.
I mean, the standard must have been so good when you started because you were keeping in third grade for St George. So, and then
exactly.
Couldn't even get a bowl.
Yeah, couldn't even get a bowl. Then all of a sudden, 450 wickets for the Blues. So things have really slipped, haven't they?
Sure. That was a good three.
Exactly.
That was a good that was.
Exactly right. Three's team that I was playing in then, we won the comp. And, I mean, the selectors, they just got it so wrong. But, keep me down in third grade. But St George, what an embarrassment of a club.
Yeah. It's tough to get a bowl when Moses and Josh Hazelwood are opening in threes. It's a very strong club, St George. I did note, speaking of that, so that's a great thing to pick up on in your career. What's changed is a bigger focus on young guys that can play 10 years, at the expense of more seasoned players who are probably at the peak of their careers. I noted New South Wales, who have, as are having a very difficult year and probably a very difficult time last couple of years in the men's side of things, have just brought on a game between, I'm not sure if it's been played yet, but it's a Premier Cricket all-star team versus, is it New South Wales under 20s or something like that?
Yeah.
That seems like that's the fucking showdown I want to be part of. Like that's old guys versus young guys deluxe. I don't even know if they've played that game yet. It was last weekend, was it? Sorry. Okay. I just who were you barracking for there? Copes, are you more on the side of the old blokes or you want the young guys to come through?
No, definitely with you boys. That's the opportunity for all the alphas in grade cricket to really just, I know you blokes played the Aussie 19s last week, but this is the real stuff. So, and I believe that's the way the game might have gone as well. So,
really,
that's the opportunity. That really is the dream. Outside of winning the first grade comp, getting the chance to be in a grade All-Stars 11. And then walk back into your grade club with your kit on the weekend. Inevitably, you've been given some sort of New South Wales gear. Walk back into the change room wearing that gear on the weekend and, sorry, boys, that just fell out of the kit. And just back it away.
Something about grade All-Stars seems like the biggest oxymoron I've ever heard in my life. It's hardly the NBA All-Stars weekend, you know what I mean? I'm in the grade All-Stars.
It's a voting system as well.
That's right. Yeah. Voted on by scorers.
Yeah. Who's the biggest pig in the comp?
Copes, I mean, you are now a contemporary commentator. We're going to see you on our screens for many, many, many years to come. Definitely one of the better, more articulate, reasoned voices that we see in the Australian summer. So be sort of remiss of us not to ask you about how you are seeing this test series between Australia and India. What did you make of the win in indoor and the Hindu nationalist project? No, I'm kidding. How do you see it all going?
To be honest, I've actually really enjoyed the series, and it's been, there's a lot of talk about the pitches and, how ridiculous it's been. I enjoyed your banter before the last game, lads, talking about I can't wait to see both teams bat before lunch. That's what it's felt like. At the end of the day, I don't mind the fact that it's just been an absolute shit show that teams have had to both deal with. Like, it's not like Australia are the only ones dealing with this. Yes, India grow up with those sort of pitches and they're more accustomed to it, but their batters have been having just as difficult a time. The big difference to me has been when we're bad, we've had really bad hours. We've had losing a whole test match in an hour, whereas India have been able to have a bad hour that they're able to then bounce back from, particularly their lower order. It's ridiculous how good their batting is from their three best spinners. And it's such an asset that, maybe that's something that we need to focus on. So, look, I think Australia at least have got back in the contest and played some good cricket last week. I'm interested to sort of see out the back of this series how we go about maybe picking our teams in the subcontinent and whether we start going a lot more all-rounder heavy and with, like we are in this game and the last test, one fast bowler and everything else being all-rounders to give us that, the confidence for the top order like Travis Head to play with such freedom. And if you get out, so be it. But while you're in there, let's score some. And I think maybe we went over there in the first place just thinking we could be our natural selves, and it hasn't come off necessarily. But look, 95% of teams, I don't know the exact numbers, that's a made-up stat, as we do oftentimes. But go over there, no matter who you are in the world, how good you are, you go over there and you lose. So I love that we're in the contest.
And will you be offering any masterclasses on video in front of a dustbin, like around the sweep shot or steam up stuff? Now that you're a former player.
Yeah, former player, and obviously a gun with the bat as well. So I've got plenty of advice, not just for the Aussies, but also for every team out there that I watch in future. I'll be giving what was he thinking? Anytime someone plays a reverse sweep, how could they miss that? That sort of stuff. That's right up there. Actually, you've given me a good idea for the touchscreen next summer. Might start getting back into that, the batting groove and really delving into techniques and picking them apart.
What about, okay, here's an idea in pitching to you live. What about Trent's touchscreen, but you're actually deconstructing the techniques of former greats? Like I would watch the shit out of that. You know what I mean? What he needs. This is where they're bowling to him. I don't know if we could get a little pile of heels, those sweep shots or.
Well, Haydos is over there on commentary, and I love the big man. We obviously work together at 7, but I'd love to get up on the screen. He's obviously the sweep master, and he scored so many runs that tour. I'd love to get a compilation of when he missed them. Just, the top edges, the hard sweep that went straight to the fielder and go, come on, Doss, there's a few of these, though. Hey?
What happened to playing in the V? That's what I think, just full face down the ground. It's a harbour shot.
Exactly right. Yeah. And hey, that's maybe the future of broadcasting, to be honest.
Out peddling outrage. Copes, congratulations on your career, mate. We'll let you go now. I know that you have a life ahead of you of time with your family, and which is why you've wanted to end it now. And believe me, looking after kids is harder than working. So I don't know what you've done there, but it's wishing you and your wife Kim all the best. Congratulations on an extremely successful career whose numbers tell the story about how well you've gone. And thanks so much for being while a player, such a supporter of our show as well. Probably the most important contribution you've made during your career. But genuinely providing a really personable and accessible link between actual grade cricketers and a top level professional cricketer. We're very appreciative, and congratulations on showing us that you know, if you're good at grade cricket, you can also be good at state cricket and green as well.
Nah, thanks, boys. I've loved being a part of the show, even, you know, way back when it all started. So loving watching what you're doing, and always happy to be a part of it. And thanks for the kind words. Cheers.
Thank you very much to Trent Copeland. Okay, the WPL has started. And there, just a top line, there's 5 teams in the tournament. There's Mumbai Indians, there's Delhi Capitals, there's RCB, that's in Bangalore, there's Gujarat Giants, and then there's the UP Warriors. That's the Lucknow team.
That's Heelzo's team.
Yeah, she's captaining the UP Warriors because it's Uttar Pradesh. That's what the UP stands for. Oh, nice. And also Lucknow, like their home ground is indoor, isn't it? That's where they play their cricket. So in the IPL and the WPP and the WPL this year, you can review wides and no balls, but they're to be used as part of like the 2 reviews that you get per innings. So if you want to start reviewing that, which I think is just, I think the robots are taking over, mate. Machines are here, they're taking over, and won't be long before we get a couple of Chat GPT umpires. So the games that happened so far, there's been 3 games so far. MI beat Gujarat 207 for 5 versus 64. Harmanpreet Kaur hit 65 for MI. Gujarat Giants, that has Beth Mooney, she's captain. Annabelle Sutherland, Ash Gardner, who obviously went for big bucks, and Georgia Wareham as well. Anyway, they got rolled for 64. They also lost their second game. DC beat RCB 232 versus 163. Meg Lanning opening the batting with Shefali Verma. Meg Lanning hit 72 of 43. Shefali Verma hit 84 of 45. For RCB, Smriti Mandana hit 35, Heather Knight 34, Elise Perry hit 31, but it was all too short. And then last night, game of the tournament so far, UP Warriors chased Gujarat's 169 with 1 ball to spare, and Grace Harris, batting at 7, I think, maybe 6, hit 59 of 26 to win the game. Kim Garth took 5 for 36. For Gujarat, Kim Garth, the famous Irish Australian. Kim Garth actually replaced Deandra Dotton, who'd pulled out of the WPPL with a medical situation. It was weird because Gujarat released that they did a tweet saying like, yeah, they hadn't acquired the medical clearance in time. And then Deandra tweeted, "I'm recovering from nothing but the Holy Ghost anointing, thank you. Hashtag God is good, hashtag God is in control." So make of that what you will. So yeah, so Gujarat have lost both their games. That's captained by Elisa Healy, and then RCB are home from.
Holy Ghost anointing means sorry. Can I just need to.
Yeah, so she said, I'm recovering from nothing but the Holy Ghost anointing, thank you.
It is God who anoints the believer with his Holy Spirit. We do not anoint ourselves. Thus it is entirely a work of God. You know, Christianity is a good way of speaking in riddles and in circles.
I don't really know what that means because, like, I saw a headline that said that she's recovering from nothing, but that's not what she said. She said, "I'm recovering nothing but the Holy Ghost anointing."
She's recovering from. So she just said, "Look, I got infected with the Holy Spirit, and I need to take a game off."
I don't know. I guess
Born again.
I guess so.
I got a funny story about that off air.
Everyone else is on 2 points. So that's what's happening with that. Anything for the WPL so far? If you're in Australia, you can watch it on KO. You can watch the highlights on KO. So there's, I'm not sure how long the tournament goes for, but there's only 5 teams, and UP Warriors have already played twice in 3 days. So
look, I think this is a wonderful result for women's cricket, and I think that it's a horrendous result for Australian women's cricket. I mean, already we're seeing that the Indian women are outperforming the Australian women. I even, you know, like I find myself when I like catch up on the WPL, what I want to see is Australian women dominating and showing their wares to everybody else and confirming that we're the best at all things. I look at that sort of while I'm scrolling, and then I get on with my day. And that's what I need to bask in their reflected glory and hard work, right? Yeah. Like all of us.
I understand.
Very normal. But instead what I'm seeing is I'm seeing Harmanpreet Kaur, our score, our guys. I'm seeing Shefali Verma, even our, you know, like she had a great opening stand with Meg Lanning. They're going to tell us they're in the same team and they all work together. No, she more runs.
They're competing against each other.
More runs at a better strike rate. Right. I'm seeing by extension Megan Schutt get carted around. I don't like seeing that. No. I'm seeing Megan Schutt and Elise Perry, who play for RCB, who I admire or enjoy, is probably a better word, greatly. They're infected with the RCB stuff now, you know. You just getting RCB'd all the time. I just, you know, this is This is concerning. I'm seeing, and I'm seeing Indian women sort of mix it with the Aussies. They're going to get better than them, and I just think it's a really bad result for
it's terrible. It's not a good look, is it?
It's not a good look.
It's not a good look.
So, yeah.
Even though if you look at the names of the teams that are playing, all the teams are really strong. They're really recognisable, strong names. And it's like, okay, that's really good, but it's not a good look, is it?
Well,
it's not a good look.
My relationship with women cricket is my team destroying everybody while I get on with my day.
Basically winning every single game.
Yeah. It's only downhill from here for two white male podcasters, mid to late 30s, probably pushing late 30s at my end.
Interesting times ahead. Bangladesh and England ODIs. Get this, Pez. The first ODI, Bangladesh hit 209, then England hit 212 for 7. Dawid Malan at 114 red. Jofra Archer also played that game. He took 2 for 37. So I suppose that's good to have him back, blah, 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 whatever you're supposed to say. The second ODI... England hit.
Whatever you're supposed to say.
Well, it's not a good look, is it? You know,
no,
Josh Archer coming back, it's not a good look.
Yeah.
You know,
why didn't he take 6?
No, well, Mark Wood's talking about he's not going to play every game in the Ashes if he is selected. If the guys are doing well, he won't even play. You know, it's all going too well for England. It's not a good look, mate.
Yeah.
The second ODI, England hit 326 for 7. Jason Roy at 132 of 124. That's his 12th ODI 100 for Roy. He's third all-time list for England. He's 1 behind Morgan and 4 behind Joe Root. They defeated Bangladesh, who hit 194. Sam Curran, 4 for 29. Adil Rashid, 4 for 45. Now, England are looking to achieve an ODI whitewash, series whitewash in Bangladesh for the first time since Sri Lanka did it 9 years ago in 2014. And to highlight Bangladesh's strength, they've only lost 2 ODI series at home in the last 10 years. Now, this is the third one now. So this is quite remarkable. Now, obviously, last time Australia went to Bangladesh, we actually found that their spinners were too short. And we couldn't score runs off them.
That's right. It was a height-based loss.
Whereas the West Indies guys, they were too tall, so they sort of bowled different lengths. So, I don't know. I mean, this is it's a great series result. I know Bangladesh is not the same place as India. In fact, in many ways, are different countries from different parts of the world. But, you know, winning in Asia ODI series when there's a World Cup on later this year bodes pretty well for England, given there's guys doing the score. Butler's hit 76 in this game, up for 64 rocks as well. But they're looking at a 3-0 series whitewash in Bangladesh. Actually pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything's coming up England, really. Even Jason Roy can score a run now. So I don't know what to say.
Are you having Alex Hales on the side? Bit of chat about that in the ODI setup. He was obviously in the part of the T20 World Cup winning setup.
Look, I don't know the nuances between the Alex Hales T20 and 50 over performances, but he's
happy to speculate.
Happy to speculate and say I'd venture he's the best bat available, and that any time he's been suppressed from selection, it's not been because of his batting.
Would you say it's a disgrace if he wasn't selected for the World Cup?
Yes, I would.
Would you say the heads need to roll?
Yeah. I want blood everywhere. I don't know why. I'm looking at something else.
Anyway, well done, England. More good stuff. Hey, South Africa and West Indies are in a test series at the moment. South Africa won the first game by 87 runs. Aidan Markram back opening the batting for SA. Hit 115 in the first dig, and Dean Elgar hit 71. Now,
why was he out? I mean, it's photos. It's something.
He couldn't score a run for about 3 years.
Yeah,
but he scored some runs now in the SA 20. He scored 100.
Any of them.
He scored 100 there. There was also a bit of speculation he might be captaining Sunrisers this year, Hyderabad, in the IPL. Anyway, Temba Bavuma is now the captain of South Africa in tests. He became the third SA test captain to get a pair in the same game. He faced 3 balls in the game. Faf and AB de Villiers were the other 2. Alzari Joseph took 5 for 81 in the first dig, and then West Indies finished 130 behind in the first innings. Anrik Nortje took 5 for 36, and then South Africa were rolled for 116 in the third innings, and you're thinking, hang on a second, here we go. Kemar Roach took 5 for 47. Then West Indies were chasing 247 to win, but they were bowled out for 159. Jermaine Blackwood hit 79 off about 90 balls, I think. But Rabada took 6 for 50. And I think he's pretty good. And then this surprised me, mate. West Indies haven't won an away series against a top 8 test team since 1995. And that was against New Zealand. That feels amazing to me. They never won a test series away from home against a top 8 side. They must have beaten maybe Zimbabwe or perhaps early doors Bangladesh, maybe before they were a top 8 side. Yeah, I'm not sure. 1995. That's nearly 20 years.
Don't forget they still have a lot of fun away from home though. You know, remember there was the cake for Craig Brathwaite.
Yeah, it's a good group.
Yeah,
it's a good group.
It's a very good group.
Yeah.
So they're still enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's sad, really.
It is. Second test is in Joburg on Wednesday. I was looking at the World Test Championship table before. Obviously, that's what I do every morning, just to check that. And South Africa were flying before they came to England. And they won that first test match in England when it was just like, see, Bazball doesn't work. And then they lost that series 2-1. Then obviously they lost 2 of the 3 games out here in Australia. They survived a rained out Sydney. But if they win this game, they'll finish 3rd on the table, and they're not that far behind India. So they were right in the mix to make the World Test Championship final this year. But they didn't.
And yet they're not very good. It's almost as though the whole system is weird and that rankings are for nonces.
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah.
Except when our team does well.
Yeah. Also, I wasn't even aware this was a thing, but they made the ODIs a Super League to make like every game relevant, and they've actually scrapped that now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it lasted like 1 year. So all pretty good stuff. Should we talk to Ramachandra Guha?
Can't wait.
Here we go.
Okay, where else to start with a bio of this man but Wikipedia, that wonderful resource. Wikipedia describes this man as an Indian historian, environmentalist, writer, and public intellectual who covers social, political, contemporary, environmental, and cricket history and the field of economics. He's worked inside or adjacent to the BCCI and was listed among the 100 most powerful Indians in 2022 by the Indian Express. He's the author of several books, one of which called The Commonwealth of Cricket accompanied me during our recent tour of India, and for which I'm very grateful as it added so much texture and context to what I was seeing in front of me. So with that in mind, it's a huge pleasure to welcome to the show someone Gideon Haigh describes as a great man. It's Ramachandra Guha, direct from Bengaluru. Ramachandra, welcome to The Grade Cricketer.
Thank you, Sam. And you can call me Ram.
That was going to be my first question. I didn't want to, sort of give it the whole Labuschagne treatment, but if we could just call you Ram, that would be good.
Well, I don't know about the Labuschagne treatment, but can you spell out for me and pronounce correctly the full name of WPUCJ Vaz? So it is Chaminda Pattabandike Upasanta something Joseph Vaz. So you failed that first test.
Well, you cut me off.
Labuschagne is child's play compared to some of our names.
Well, Australian linguistics is child's play.
How deep is the connection with politics and Indian cricket?
So it's been fairly strong for several decades. So to be fair to Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, whose son, Amit Shah is our home minister, the second most powerful man in India, whose son runs the cricket board, and you can look up his first-class statistics. They are even more insignificant or meager than mine. But so, in fairness to them, not to excuse what they're doing, but ruling party politicians of different parties have been involved in cricket. You know, they've been presidents of the board, they've been presidents of state associations, but it's never been so visible and flagrant as this. So it's another level altogether. Ever since Jay Shah and by proxy his father Amit Shah took over the cricket board.
Ram, you first came into my consciousness with a great interview you did with as guest on Gideon and Pete's podcast a couple of years ago, and you said one thing that's just always stuck with me, and I've probably repeated it a lot of times on this show, but you said that there have been 3 superpowers in the history of international cricket. England, the sole superpower from 1877 to 1977, till Kerry Packer, with Australia from 77 to around 2000, 2005 or so. Then with the advent of the IPL, India to now. When Australia and England, and this is why we wanted to get you on as well, because it seems to be such a separation in understanding between lots of different countries involved in modern cricket, and cricket seems to be more fractured than ever. Now, when Australia and England expresses dissatisfaction with how India conducts itself administratively, that line often reminds me that India may have felt the same, and for much longer. Like how important is that historical context when thinking about India?
So you're absolutely right. You know, England first and then Australia ran the game in an imperialist way. So everything was run from Lords, not just the rules, but the scheduling of the tours, the umpiring, the media coverage. The first 3 World Cups were all played in England. And the pushback against it, and this is important to remember this context, the pushback against this was a collective effort in which India was one of several actors. In fact, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and to some extent even South Africa and West Indies, historically colonized countries with non-white populations were leading the pushback against it. And then India and then of course Australia took over the place as superpower. I remember very clearly, at the height of World Series cricket in the 80s and 90s, when of course Australia had the best team and the best telecast facilities. In the winter, that was sacrosanct. India could not hold a test match. Pakistan could not hold a test match. There would be 3 teams, of which Australia was one, and Australia would always win. Because you had good cricketers, but you also had baying, hostile, partisan crowds, a very partisan press, and sometimes I would like to say even partisan umpires. I mean, ask Sri Lankans about Darren Hare, for example, and you get a sense. Or ask Indians about David Constant, the British umpire. So much of the pushback was legitimate, so long as it was a collective effort in which India was one of the actors, maybe because of its size, the leading actor, but taking along Pakistan, Bangladesh, West Indies, South Africa, who felt similarly discriminated against. Unfortunately, India has become the big bully of world cricket, and the IPL has allowed it. And the money, it's also, I like to say, and I would like to say this on record, many ex-cricketers, including Australian cricketers, are part of this because they want contracts to commentate on the IPL. So their mouth is zipped with any transgression. There's a test match in Ahmedabad. There was a scandal earlier this week because there weren't any tickets available for the first day because Mr. Modi wanted a captive audience. There was a pushback on social media. Peter Lela wrote a good and brave piece, but no cricketer talked about it. Don't Ponting and Michael Clark and Hayden and all the others care about fans, Australian fans, Indian fans. What about Gavaskar and Dravid are silent. Gavaskar and Dravid had so much courage facing fast bowlers, and in Gavaskar's case without a helmet. But don't they care about the fans? So every retired cricketer wants a piece of the pie. And in some ways, this is the most tragic. Indian as well as there are very few cricketers, retired cricketers, to say, this is not the way the game should be run. And it's not. Gavaskar, of course, is the high priest of whataboutery. He will say England did it once, Australia did it once, so now it's our turn. So we will doctor the pitches, we will do all of that. But that's not how decent people behave. I mean, that's not how cricket civilized conduct takes place. So I think it is, as a historian, I understand the logic. It's a pushback against a century of British hegemony, 2 decades of Australian hegemony. But I don't at all endorse the path it's taken, particularly the abandoning of Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, who are really our allies in shifting the epicenter of the game away from India and Australia. And the IPL is really the culprit here because there's so much money there. It's like money corrupts, and a great deal of money corrupts absolutely. So, it's an inversion of the axiom about power. That's really what has happened to cricket administrators, cricketers, cricket commentators, retired cricketers. That's what's happened.
There'll be people, Ram, who, firstly, people in Australia and England, maybe in India, won't be used to hearing an Indian person so vociferously and unflinchingly criticize its own administration and country. And there will be people in these YouTube comments who will refer to you as a biased historian, and they will also say,
they will call me. I'm used to that, Sam. If you, I speak my mind when it comes to politics, culture, history, not just cricket. So abuse, I'm thankful for the abuse on YouTube and Twitter for this reason. In the old days, it would all come in my private email box, and now it's shifted there. Let it be public. Let them say what they want. That's fine. It's never deterred me, and it won't. So that's okay. That's okay. But that is the truth. The job of a scholar is to speak the truth as he or she sees it. The job of a writer is not to identify with party politics or with even with your country. If your country does something wrong, the great Benedict Anderson, one of the great theorists of nationalism, said the duty. I'm paraphrasing what he said. He said the duty of a patriot is to call out the crimes committed by his own state and his own country. And that to me is the true calling of a patriot. So, of course, I was as critical of what England did in the 60s and 70s and what Australia did later. I remember I wrote a piece in the much mourned magazine Cricket Law, which is to come out of England, in the late 90s about this Australian hegemony and what it meant. And it drew an anguished response from a very nice man, an Australian writer called Neville Turner, who said, he's biased. Inequality, oppression, the abuse of power is wrong wherever it occurs and whoever is responsible for it. I mean, that's my belief as a Democrat.
How do you observe how India wrestled control of global cricket? Do you think it's as simple as the IPL? Is there some sort of also some cooperation there from Australia, perhaps in terms of being asleep at the wheel in some capacity, having their own, the Big Bash League, and then they're sort of developing too much interest into Test match cricket, whilst that was sort of slowly dying, as we're seeing now. How do you see India?
So, I think a historian better trained than me and who understands the market forces better than me will one day have to write a history about this, and maybe a history that incorporates all three phases. I think England, Australia, and India. Let me say this: when Australia was dominant, and they were criticized for it, Australian cricket writers were very thin-skinned. They didn't understand the legitimacy of the criticism, and maybe Indian writers today are bringing them back. So one day a history will be written about this. But of course, it also, in my case, it detracts from my enjoyment as a fan. Look, if I may just digress just a bit to the current series, and then we can go back to whatever you want to ask me. I write a fortnightly column, and about 80% of the column is politics. 4 in 5 are politics or culture or society, and 1 in 5 is sport, mostly cricket. And I haven't written a column on cricket for a very long time, for about 3 or 4 months. So I thought I must write my next column on cricket. So I was going to write a column. It will appear this Saturday on the whole issue of bowler captains. I'm a fan of bowlers. I'm a great fan of Pat Cummins as a character. His spirit, his zest, how he restored faith in Australian cricket after the scandal in South Africa. But watching Steve Smith's captaincy in Indore, I wondered whether Steve Smith would be a better captain. So I was going to write a column on this, about cricketing matters, and then this nonsense about Modi watching a match at the Modi Stadium happened. So I probably will have to write about that. So it's a pity even for a genuine fan like me when the sport is so contaminated and overtaken by politics. But, sometimes one has to talk about it. As I said, I would much rather write about, can we have a good bowler captain? I would have given the example of an Australian example, Rishi Meno, who was one of your great captains. And I believe Shane Warne would have been, and some of you might agree, would have been a better captain than Ricky Ponting, for example, right? So, one can't even concentrate on the game because it's so polluted by power politics.
And many people won't know this who listen to our show, Ram, but you've actually worked inside or adjacent to the BCCI. In 2017, you were appointed as part of the Loder Committee reforms, which were a result of match fixing scandals and conflict of interest stuff. You write this chapter in your book called Accidental Administrator. Rather than kind of go right into it, I just want to ask you outright, what was it like to work for the BCCI? What was that experience?
So, I wrote about it at great length in my book, and my book is available in Australia, so I hope people read it for that and other things. It was dispiriting because the constant units of the board were hostile, and the chairperson of our committee was a very timid, risk-averse, even super person who refused to take on the power brokers. And he was a chair, and he was hand in glove with the BCCI management and would not challenge them on what they'd been doing. So after a few months trying, I decided this is not going to go anywhere, and I better resign on a matter of principle. And I wrote a letter, which is available online, pointing out many things that are wrong, including this whole issue of, is it right for India to become the sole cricketing superpower? So it was an interesting, educative experience, but not to be repeated.
Okay, well, let's take it more contemporary, Ram. A lot of chat here about pitches. Whether it be preparation of one side of the wicket, or the curators wearing BCCI uniforms, or Rahul Dravid talking to them at lunch, or or Rohit discussing openly the type of pitch they might like to prepare if they win, with caveats. And not a lot of discussion of that on the official commentary feeds. I mean, from your perspective, do Australians or opponents, are they right in having gripes about what we're seeing? It does seem like a coordinated effort.
So it's a good question, and there's no black and white answer. All right. So it is true that Australians prepare green tops. The English, that has been done in the past, and it's also true that having grown up your whole life playing on home pitches, Australians know how to handle green put tops, and Indians know how to handle turning tracks. Okay. So this, again, it has been done in the past by other countries.
Yes.
However, in the past, when there was no IPL, you had adequate preparation. So a touring team to Australia would play at the WACA against Western Australia, would play at Adelaide, would get a sense of what's going on and get acclimatized. Likewise in India, with the conditions, with the weather, all of that. Now you rush straight into a test match. So it's a problem for visiting teams, and which is why over the last 20 or 25 years, it's been so difficult to beat India at home. It has got better, of course. Now, so it may be the case that home advantage means you can prepare pitches that suit you. But to what extent do you go? And there are two questions here. One, the first thing is, think of the fan and why, when a match, ends in 2.5 days, prepare a pitch that aids spinners, but not so fragrantly that it won't last 4 or 5 days. It doesn't give an undue advantage to a side batting first, or in some cases to a side batting second. So I think that's one thing. The second thing is what you said. The curator wearing an Indian jersey, the curator being in the dressing room, and Rahul Dravid repeatedly talking to him is completely unjustifiable. Broadly, before the series began, the Australian board can tell the curators, we'd like something that favors Cummins and Hazelwood and Stark just a little bit, right? Okay. Or an Indian board can say, it'd be nice if, Ashwin and Jadeja have some help. But during that kind of open identification, I was very disappointed, because Dravid is someone I have admired. And I said, in many ways, Dravid and Gavaskar, who showed such great courage and spine as batsmen, that they don't show the same courage and spine when they're in either coach as in Dravid's case, or a commentator as in Gavaskar's case, is disappointing for me as a fan. So I'd say it is not black and white. So it is true that there will always be home advantage, and a little bit of pitch manipulation to suit your players is okay. But not to this fragrant extent, not to deprive the fan of a 4th or a 5th day, and certainly not active intervention before and during a match by the coach of the team.
Push you further on that, Ram. I get the sense that there's this nobody wants to lose any game at home. Nobody wants to lose any series at home. That's but I just get the feeling like it's almost unfathomable for this team to have any sort of negative results at home. There seems to be almost like a fear of not winning at home, and I sort of recognize that in some of the practices at play here. I suppose particularly with pitches that might be a little bit extreme, but I just get this sense that there's this India rightly is so proud, and their cricket team is like their looking glass through the rest of the world, as is many sports with many different countries as well. But I just get the sense that there's a genuine fear of what would happen if the team lost. Would I be right in feeling that?
Certainly. I think you're right. There is a kind of you're right that sport is associated with national pride in many countries, but usually it's within bounds.
Right.
In Brazil, it's football. In India, it's cricket. Right. And it's usually within bounds, partly because there are other sports. In Australia, for example, there are 3 or 4 sports in which you're good at. You're good at tennis, you're good at rugby, swimming, athletics, and cricket, right? Yeah. So the Australian sporting fan, even when he or she is a nationalist, is not so obsessed with cricket all the time. In India, this is the only bloody game. I'm sorry to use a polite word like bloody. But
Yeah, we never swear.
that we're any good at. I mean, a nation of 1.4 billion people sends a 300-member contingent to the Olympics and we come back with 2 medals. Whereas cricket is something, because we are so large, we have 30 Ranji Trophy teams. Now we have the IPL. We have so many young kids wanting to play for India. Actually, we should be winning all the time, in my view. And I've said this in print, because of the overwhelming demographic and cultural importance of cricket in India. India should never lose a match at home or abroad. Actually, you're right. But it's kind of not nationalism. It's not legitimate pride. It's kind of hyper-nationalism, And of course, that's the mood of the day with Narendra Modi too. It's like India is leading the world. India is destined to lead the world. But I hope there's a pushback from fans who would like Indian fans, who may want their side to win, but don't want such a one-sided contest, want a 4-day or a 5-day test match, do not want tickets to be allocated to political parties, do not want commentators to be so pliant. You can't even criticize an Indian player in the commentary box. You can't say that was a bad shot. You can't say so-and-so should go. I mean, the campaign against KL Rahul, who's had a series of failures, was led by a cricketer who no longer has a job. Gavaskar and people should have been talking about it, So I think this kind of thing, the journalists and commentators and administrators are letting down the fan. I mean, some amount of nationalism is inevitable. It's there, I'm sure. It's there with New Zealand with rugby more than in cricket. In Germany and with soccer more than in with hockey or something. So it's there, kind of there. I mean, but I think this is rather excessive.
Ram, people might be listening to this thinking we're all detailing a laundry list of criticisms. I think that it's really refreshing to hear some challenge, to the status quo of Indian cricket, because you don't hear many voices doing that. But I mean, to I guess make it clearer or to amplify it, what would be some of the positive things Indian cricket could do to become the nation that that is great, and it is a great country when it comes to cricket?
I think the first thing would be, I think it depends on the BCCI must be open to criticism by journalists. Players must be open, so players want to just manufacture their image. I mean, the reason, Sam, why I can speak as I do, among the reasons, that's not the only reason. One of the reasons is I do not want a ticket in the press box. I'll go and buy a ticket if I want to watch a match. I'm not dependent on the BCCI for anything, right? Either before my stint or after my stint, Whereas, I wish some of our otherwise fine independent websites who cover cricket very well. I mean, India is home to 2 or 3 first-rate cricket websites, which provide very nuanced, fine-grained analysis of the game, of the techniques, of individual players, of match reports. But I wish they would have the courage to call out the BCCI, but they may be nervous that they won't be allowed entry into the ground next time. That might be part of it. I mean, in that sense, I'm kind of, outside it all, I can see it much more clearly, and nothing in between. Because I'm not looking for any favor from the BCCI at all, of any kind.
You're not
even a complimentary ticket.
Do you think it is as black and white, Ram, of like, a commentator not criticizing the wicket or a player, because if they do, they'll lose their job? Is it as black and white as that?
The job will be in jeopardy. They may not immediately lose it, but the job will be in jeopardy. That's true. That is true. And if they become timid and risk-averse and pro-establishment as a result, that's certainly the case. I mean, it is. I mean, when I was in the BCCI, I said this. I wrote a note, which I don't think I reproduced in my book, where I said the BCCI should not be doing the commentary. It should be an independent feed. You do not have, it's like state propaganda. It's like Soviet Russia. Or, when you have this, it should be an independent feed. It's like, that's what Channel 9 is. So, even, of course, BBC is much more independent than any state broadcaster, but now it's Sky. It should be independent, and it should be commentators paid commercially by why should they be employees of the BCCI? Why should it be only a BCCI feed? So I think the lesson of good journalism is keep the state far away. Right? And that's true of all kind of good journalism. That's true of politics, culture. It should not be manufactured, or the end result should not. What you write should not be dictated by fears of censorship and state control. So I think that is part of the problem. That it's not just the state. I mean, the BBC is technically a public broadcaster, but is not run by or beholden to the English Cricket Board. So even if the BBC was to get a test match, they won't be like the BCCI, you know. So that's a grievous flaw in the system. I mean, and you see, you need transparency to perform better. You need accountability and fair criticism so that the board is better run, so that the cricketers know their weaknesses. And if you don't have if you don't have a feedback loop, you know, how will it improve? You know, so I think that is a major flaw in the system, which I think, of course, and the board, so long as we are winning and doing quite well, and so long as we're the IPL. So now it does not even matter if we lose the World Test Championship, because we have this cash cow and everyone else wants a small piece of it. You know, the Australians want it, the British want it, the South Africans want it, the West Indians want it. Everyone except the Pakistanis who are forbidden from playing it.
Mm. I mean, I want a piece of it as well. Do you think? Do you think we'll lose our press pass now that we've spoken to you?
I can't answer that, but it depends on whether, I mean, it'll depend on whether you want to screen this or censor it or cut it in half, cut this interview in half. It's up to you. I've had that experience before, so it's up to you. It's entirely your board.
It's good, right? It's really good. We really appreciate it. Do you have anything else as well?
Oh, I just think KR Rahul's a really good player and he's a nice guy and he should open the bowling in the next Test match. And if Modi wants to actually doctor the wicket himself, and I think that's all good.
Ramachandra Guha, thank you so much. We really appreciate your insights and your thoughts on that. And you jump into the YouTube comments if you want as well. We'll be fighting a few fires on that front. I hope you I hope you get to go to Ahmedabad or the next one in Bengaluru as well. But we do know that it won't be a complimentary ticket.
But one of the things I'd like to do, I mean, I'm 65, so I don't have that many years of cricket watching left. One of these years, I'd like to come. I've watched Test matches in England, of course, but I'd like to come and watch a Test match in Australia. Preferably one where India is not playing. And preferably one which is not too one-sided in favor of Australia. You know, I don't want Cummins and Hazelwood finishing off the match in 2 days. You know, that's not my idea.
You're going to be waiting a while. I think.
The next time,
this does not exist.
I will consult you. And I'll consult Gideon, who he's called me a great man, but he's much greater. He's the greatest cricket writer, born or unborn. So the next time I come to Australia, I'll consult him and I'll say, can you give me a guarantee that the test at the MCG will last for 4 days and the test at the SCG for 5 days, and I'll come for 2 weeks and watch both. And if Cummins and Hazelwood, whoever their successors are, blow away the opposition in 2 days, I will excommunicate Gideon. That's
Ramachandra Guha, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much to Mr. Guha. Pez, before we get into hashtag AskTGC, for a change of pace, should we talk about Manscaped?
March is here, which officially marks the beginning of what our friends over at Manscaped like to call fresh ball fall.
Okay.
Oh, yes. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming are here to make sure that your foliage isn't the only thing shedding its excess leaves.
Right.
Make sure to trim your bush with the best and let Mother Nature do the rest. Join the 8 million men
Holy
worldwide.
shit.
Fuck, they've had 1 million customers.
In a
couple of months. Fuck.
I hope people are using the code.
Is this a publicly listed company? I'm getting behind. A million customers.
I mean, that's an increase of what we're looking at.
That's 2 million.
We're sort of looking at the 12-13% bump there in a couple of months.
But considering that it was 6 million, problematically,
yes,
about
well,
6
we asked
months
them to retire
ago.
the number.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, at least go up to 7 or round it down to 5. They've gone up to 8.
Well, they just grew their customer base to get
by
off
13% in 2 months.
Get off the problematic 6 million.
Troubling 6.
Join 6 million men.
Troubling.
Join 6 million for our product. It's like somebody in marketing just went, not.
I don't know.
That's got bad connotations.
Yeah.
Join the 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to, you get it, manscaped.com, 20% off free shipping with the code TGC. You can only get that 20% off if you use that code TGC.
It would have been better for us if it was 8 million people doing that.
Oh.
Actually, not really, because I think it's a set rate that we're getting, so it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, Yeah, I'm not sure whether they're into us.
Yeah.
Remember, lads, when you trim the weeds, the tree always stands taller with a wink. I mean, they're speaking euphemistically. They're saying your penis looks bigger if you shave.
If the eye of the penis is winking, I would see someone about that.
Oh, yeah, like spasming. Mm-hmm. A spasming penis eye.
Mm. And you've noticed that as well. Maybe it's time to get a part-time
start
job.
winking back, then realise, hang on, that's my penis.
Hang on, we're on here.
Flirting with the tip of your penis. Manscaped has the full package you need to level up your game this year. The Performance Package 4.0 is the only tool you need to keep your boys looking and smelling fresh as can be. Interestingly, from a marketing perspective with Manscaped here, like all the numbers go up, don't they? It's been like 6 million customers, 7 million, 8 million, and then the performance packages are like, I think we started at 2, we're at 4. So I suppose it's got a long way to go before it gets to like the iPhone numbering convention where it's like then it goes to an X for iPhone 10.
Well, I'd like to get to the lawnmower 5.0 Pro.
Oh, you start adding extra little things there like a Pro or a Plus.
Yes.
Yeah. Or an X, a little X.
The idea of a Pro really is good marketing because it seems like, professionals use this.
Yeah.
Now, like that could also be the same like, male performers, sex performers would be using said products, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, because they're looking for the one that is in line with their employment. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not a prostitute, a male prostitute, you should just get the 4.0.
Just get the classic.
Yeah.
You don't need the...
Yeah. But if you're a prostitute, you get the Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it means. So that's
Pro can also be short for prostitute.
Thank God I got the AirPods and not the AirPods Pro. You got the Pro, don't you?
Well, that noise cancelling, you see, because I'm in a very loud environment all the time. A lot of screaming.
Come and have a lesson with the Golf Pro, the Club Pro.
I'm the Overseas Pro.
Hey, it was good to be at Surrey Hills Cricket Club over the weekend, speaking of that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And their Overseas Pro was Pavel Florin.
That's right. And I think they had a couple of other overseas pros decades ago that was part of the show.
That was, I think a lot of them were locals, though. Locally based. Locally based pros.
Yeah. Separately, there was a story of a Greek guy that they told us that smashed every plate in the club. And when asked why he did it, he said, it's cultural. And then they said later on in the night, someone chucked a tomahawk across the room. Yeah. It was a big night. So it was a much more sedate affair with the grade cricketer there.
Wow.
Please don't ask us if you want us to do your club event unless you've got heaps of coin. No, that popped out of my neck. That's not me. That's not me. That's not me. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the code TGC. Is that funny because it's true? No, they're like it's good. No,
don't explain it. Don't explain it.
Don't explain it.
If you want to pay us in pros, though.
And that's
by scripture,
that's right. Like a couple of books or something.
A couple of books.
Yeah, if you guys have written books. Yeah. Got a couple of books in India from people who wrote books and then gave them to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't ask for any payment, but they were just giving me pros.
Yeah. No, I've definitely got that, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely got that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hashtag ASKTGC. I think his name's Hunter. Indeed it is. Hunter wrote in and said, boys, had an interesting experience. It was at my girlfriend's place and we were doing what two adults do as one would do. But then, suddenly, she whispers in my ear, keep going, champ. My cock instantly went flaccid and I began to cry and my sexual experience was ruined. Gents, my question is this. Why does cricket need to ruin my sex life and normal life?
Well, it's not cricket that's ruined that for you, Hunter. It's the word champ.
You think champ's mid-Coitus?
I mean, firstly, that's a healthy response, I would say.
Crying?
Well, flaccidity.
Right.
And tears. No. I think that's a good, rational response to that incidence.
Yes. Yeah. Had you got harder, then I suppose you could have been into that sort of degradation style interaction.
Yeah, that's right. Which and that's not to king shame.
Not king shame. We don't do on this show.
People.
Yeah.
But why does cricket need to ruin my... Look, okay, if you do accept that it's a cricket-based ruined orgasm.
No.
And we all have them from time to time.
From time to time, yeah.
This is what we call a cricket-based ruined orgasm.
What? Yeah, you go to a doctor and then he'll say,
there's a reason they call it edging.
Yeah.
Now, you'll learn ultimately cricket ruins everything, in your life.
Yeah.
In this instance, sex and relationships by extension.
Yes.
We've discussed ad nauseum cricket ruining words.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I don't partake in edging because it just reminds me of my issues outside of stuff.
Just nicking off, just on that fifth stump line and just having a little nibble.
Nicking off, you know what I mean?
We went, you were talking before, Pez, about performing at this fine establishment the other day at Surrey Hills Cricket Club. And some players' partners were there, and one of them said, "This is the first time I've been to the cricket club. Why does it smell weird?"
That's right.
And then she said, "I hate it here." And I think that is a very important message to tell all players. If you're playing in a men's team, if you're thinking about having your partner there, just keep in mind that you have normalized the environment of which you're in. But actually, it's completely unhealthy, it's toxic, and it stinks. Metaphorically and sometimes literally. Because often guys are just pissing on the walls there.
I played with some really good players who absolutely stank. Like BO issues. Sometimes you never know what people are going through. You know what I mean?
Right.
I
know a few people who who work in HR, and they have, to a man, all said that like a very common thing that they have to do as part of their job is like someone in the office will have a BO problem.
Yeah.
And that has got to be...
So they receive complaints.
Feedback, right. And then they have to be the ones to inform them. And just to tiptoe around that subject is just like, like personal hygiene is an important part of, working in a community or whatever the fuck they're saying. But just have to like tiptoe around like, mate, you fucking stink, take a shower, you dopey fucking coat.
Yeah, some people don't know. Yeah,
it is weird.
I would never like. I've worked with people with BO issues, but it wouldn't occur to me to like email HR on a different floor to sort it out.
Right, give them the tap on the shoulder.
I mean, I don't know what you meant to do. I'd probably just endure it, or tip it off to a manager or
just
something.
hoping you get them Chris Kringle, Counter Rexona.
Yeah,
Leaks Africa.
That's right. You figure out in February and then you hang around till December.
When's your birthday? January. Fuck, I missed it.
Yeah, that's right.
Damn it.
He's a belated present.
Christmas in July. Is that a thing? Yeah. Work anniversary.
What about the waft on you, champion? Shit, that wasn't me.
Oh, you passed probation. Here we go. Here's some soap.
That'll probably do us.
All right. Well, thank you very much to Trent. Thank you very much to Ramachandra for joining the show. What a show it's been. What a wild ride it's been. We'll be back right here on the internet unless you want to join us on Patreon. Next time you see us on the internet. See you later.